People aren't anti-Semitic, BB, the biggest baby in the world. People just don't like you, and people don't like a country, regardless of your religion or your cultural identifiers, that goes in and mass slaughters people. Apologies, I've had to pull myself out of whatever viral lurgy I've got, because I just felt we had to talk about this. It can't pass us by due to illness and other content not going on the channel. We have to talk about Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu, what an absolute shameful individual. He's accused leaders, he's accused Starmer, Macron, and Carney, so the leaders of Britain, France, and Canada. He's accused them of emboldening Hamas. This is an attempt by the worst dictator in the world, Benjamin Netanyahu, an attempt by him to retrofit the awfulness of the double shooting in Washington of the two Zionist Israeli embassy workers who were planning on getting engaged in Jerusalem next week. I'm only saying that because they're given such individualistic detail in extreme contrast to the tens of thousands of Palestinians who are just numbers, and then even when they're numbers, they're disputed numbers. But it is an atrocity. It shouldn't be. What's happened in Washington is awful. But what's even more awful is Benjamin Netanyahu seeking to retrofit the tragedy of Washington to his to an emboldened attempt to suggest that the harsh words. Now, when we say harsh words of France, Canada, and the UK, those harsh words, by God, they've been a long time coming. Glacial. It's been a glacial process of them moving slowly towards some acknowledgement. And then when you put a magnifying glass over the top of what David Lammy said the other day, virtually nothing changes whatsoever anyway. So they haven't done anything. But this is Netanyahu, the temperamental toddler of the Middle East, who likes to get his own way and wants to dodge jail. This is the man who claims that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, even though the Supreme Court of Israel has said that the ex-leader of Shin Bet, the internal security service, shouldn't have been removed, that he was removed for political purposes, and Netanyahu has not only ignored that, but he's installed a senior IDF soldier at the top of his internal intelligence service, Shin Bet. So this guy's a dictator. This guy is a dictator. There's no way of getting around this. He pretends he's not because his mate and his buddy, America, is backing him. But he's a dictator. And at the point that some of the Western countries in Europe and Canada just gradually, incrementally have stepped towards saying, oh, you've been almost a naughty boy. Almost a naughty boy. That's what they've said. You've been almost a naughty boy committing a genocide. He's like, no, he's thrown all his toys out of the pram. And he's even sought to take the death of these two people and use it as an opportunity to attack the West. Not only that, we're going to have a little listen to the front of his speech. This part of the story is the most unforgivable detail. And I'm going to play you a brief clip of Netanyahu. Listen to this.
For these neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
What?
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
Free Palestine is today's version of Heil Hitler. So he's, this guy, who is this guy? This guy is an absolute joke. An absolute joke. We are reaching the end of meaning if this gains purchase. Now, my big concern is there's already been outrage expressed by Starmer and various European leaders that Israel is seeking to connect this violence to, in any way, shape or form, something that's been said by leaders of countries that have just about started to say that Israel's being a naughty boy. So there is outrage. I think people are smelling a rat. I think people are seeing through this for what it is. And it really brings to mind the pushing of boundaries of meaning. Do you remember how the word ceasefire? The word ceasefire was described as anti-Semitic. If you wanted a ceasefire, you somehow wanted death. You were a hate marcher. If you went on a ceasefire march, you were a hate marcher. Now, Free Palestine is anti-Semitic. It's Heil Hitler. If this gains purchase, and I really, really hope that Donald Trump and his presidency and his group and his team do not seize upon this and say, do you know what? He's right. Let's ban the phrase Free Palestine. If a connection is made between saying Free Palestine and Heil Hitler, the whole world deserves to go up in smoke. It's an absolute farce, it's an absolute joke. And it deserves to be called out as dramatically as the genocide is being called out. This is just appalling. Because not only has he thrown the couple that have been shot in Washington under the bus, he's also thrown all those Jews that survived or didn't survive or have connections with the Holocaust under the bus too. I'm going to say it, it needs to be said, the most anti-Semitic thing happening in the world right now is Netanyahu. He categorically is endangering the lives of Jews everywhere by invoking anti-Semitism as a means to essentially never ever question Israel's actions. It's so palpably obvious. I can't believe that even the right-wing press can really get behind this. It's so transparent. It's like a toddler standing there with his hand covered in Nutella saying he didn't touch the Nutella pot. Or there are Nutella handprints all over the wall, but he's like, I didn't have any Nutella. The mere suggestion that words, or cautionary words, like cautionary words from Starmer and Carney and Macron, could have an impact on anti-Semitism and create this kind of febrile atmosphere. And yet a caution around words is not to be applied to Israel, and its language over the genocide is astonishing. Somehow, incredibly mealy-mouthed kind of acknowledgements of, oh, we're not comfortable with Israel, led to murder. But Israel demanding the end of a race and the clearing and the making sterile of a land, that has no consequences, according to Netanyahu. So the term collateral damage has been used by Israel regarding the tens of thousands of people who've been killed in Gaza. I would argue, unfortunately, whilst it's a really unforgivably awful act that's happened in Washington, that these two individuals, these poor two young individuals, regardless of their Zionism and political beliefs, they too have been caught up in the collateral damage, I would argue, of Netanyahu's conflation of any criticism of Israel being anti-Semitic. People aren't anti-Semitic, BB, the biggest baby in the world. People just don't like you, and people don't like a country, regardless of your religion or your cultural identifiers, that goes in and mass slaughters people. It's as simple as that. You can be Jewish and be an absolute fucking miserable bastard. You can be Jewish and be fucking horrible. You can be Muslim and be fucking horrible. You can be Christian. You can be an atheist and be really fucking nasty individual. You just happen to be Jewish, and you happen to be the Prime Minister of Israel, and you happen to be committing a genocide. So don't run around pretending that leaders of countries that haven't really held any fire to your feet have somehow created an atmosphere in which this shooting happened. It's a joke. Equating Heil Hitler, for me, is one of the most barbaric things, I think, to have been said yet. I mean, it's absolute barbarism. It's an affront to all Palestinians. It's an affront to those who've been shot. And it's a total affront to everyone who survived or knows people who survived the Holocaust. You know, on the one hand, you've got Donald Trump in the White House manufacturing the idea of a white genocide, using footage from the Congo and photos from Rwanda to present to the poor South African president. And whilst Israel continues to call October the 7th a horrendous day for those who were caught up in it, but to describe that as genocidal, you can't say October the 7th is genocidal. You can't maintain that there's a white genocide happening in South Africa with dodgy footage, and somehow not look at the situation in Gaza and go, on a purely maths basis, a genocide is happening. If you want to compare and contrast all three, by far the worst of all of them is Gaza. It just strikes me as well, the reason this needs to be called out and the reason it's so distressing, as they seek to distract us with the flag waving of kneecap, with the accidental emoji posting of Gary Lineker. It's a constant propaganda machine trying to distract, trying to take us away from what the main story is. This is another propaganda tactic to turn the deaths of two Zionist Israeli embassy members in Washington into a possible way to make sure that the Western leaders do not say or issue or mutter another single word of criticism. I hope to God this doesn't gain purchase. I hope to God they aren't all in Whitehall and at Westminster going, oh my God, we need to be really careful. Look what happens when we just say one thing. I mean, surely everyone can see this is classic. Get in anyone who deals with bullying in any secondary school or primary school and use the same tactics to deal with this as you would deal with bullies. It's the same tactics needed. So not only can they remove nationhood, not only can they remove lives, homes, schools, universities, businesses, not only can they remove, agricultural land, the ability to create your own food in Gaza, not only can they destroy and decimate the entire infrastructure, not only is rainwater, even prior to this assault, is it illegal to store rainwater because Israel needs to control everything that's ever gone into the Gaza Strip. They're now going to tell us you can't say free Palestine. Fuck that shit. Free Palestine. Free fucking Palestine.